Have you been looking for a way to lose weight where you don't have to give up your favorite foods? The JoLynn Braley Show, episode number 153, the number 2 best way to lose weight. Hello. This is JoLynn Braley. Welcome back to the JoLynn Braley Show. If you have been with me since the very first week of January in 2013, then awesome. Thank you so much for being a loyal podcast peep. If this is your first time tuning in, awesome. Welcome. I am JoLynn Braley, permanent weight loss coach. I am the founder of the diet that is not a diet, the diet that actually works, because it is not a food diet. It is not an exercise program. Instead, the inner self diet heals the real problem. And I have a big insight for you. The real problem is not the food. The real problem is not the fat on your body, all right? The fat on your body is only a symptom of a much bigger problem, and your out of control eating is only a behavior, and all behaviors can be changed. You need to know how to change them, and the quickest way to change them is getting coaching, working with the right coach, getting the root of the problem healed, and then being able to move on with your life, living your best life in your best body, feeling good about yourself, feeling good in your own skin, and focusing on building the life that you are excited about living, instead of your whole life being about food from the moment you wake up until the moment you go to bed at night. All right? Hey, if you need help or want help, if you're really excited about kicking all of your food and weight struggles to the curb and doing it as quickly as possible, stay tuned. I'll share with you before we're done here today how you can take your first step towards those results. Since 2009, I have been privately coaching awesome coaching clients to the end of their binge eating, end of their emotional eating, to getting into the zone where weight loss is struggle-free, and they get these results in 8 weeks or less working with me privately, and that's all in the inner self diet. It is pretty freaking amazing, especially when I've got a client who is very stuck, and they've got quite a negative mindset about the whole process of losing weight and keeping it off. And to be able to work with somebody who is super cool and they're dedicated to their own success and they're willing to do something totally different, and they're willing to allow me to coach them out of their struggles, out of their pain, out of their frustration, to move into the struggle-free zone where the binge eating is gone, the emotional eating is gone, and they are able to just live a healthy lifestyle so that the fat comes off and stays off. It is pretty freaking awesome. And like I said, I'll share with you before we're done today how you can take your first step towards breaking free of your own ongoing, frustrating, painful food and weight struggles. Before we get to the number 2 best way to lose weight, though, just want to make sure you've got my free ebook. Do you already have that? If you don't, you can get it at www.easyfunweightloss.com, www.easyfunweightloss.com. In my free ebook, you'll get 3 simple steps to start making weight loss easier from the inside out. And they're not your typical food or exercise tips. How many of those tips do you already have? How have they helped you? Have you ever noticed that you have so much information about how to live healthy, but you're not doing it? All right. That right there is the number 1 glaring sign that you've got an inner self problem. And so the healing needs to occur in your inner self. You don't need more food and exercise tips. All right. That information is good if it's good information, of course, and it's healthy and it works for a healthy lifestyle for you. All of that information is great once you have solved what is 92.8% of the problem, and that's your mindset. Does that make sense? All right. So you could take a tiny step in learning a little bit more in my free ebook. Just get that now at www.easyfunweightloss.com. All right, so what is the number 2 best way to lose weight? I'm going to give it to you right now. Grab pen and paper if you want to take notes. You're going to need pen and paper anyway when I give you the self-questioning questions to ask yourself to discover more about where you are and where you want to go. So you can pause this podcast to get pen and paper now if you want to get the very most out of this totally free weight loss podcast. All right. The number 2 best way to lose weight is put food in your mouth only when your stomach is physically hungry. Stop putting food in your mouth when your stomach is no longer physically hungry. That's it. That's it right there. The number 2 best way to lose weight. All right. Now, notice that I said stop putting food in your mouth when your stomach is no longer physically hungry. There's a difference between not being physically hungry and being stuffed or overstuffed. Okay? You do not need to stuff yourself to make the physical hunger go away. In fact, if you make a fist right now with your left hand, look at that. That is the size of your stomach if you were to stop overfeeding yourself. And that's the amount of food that is required to quell your physical hunger. All right? So it's pretty darn simple. You don't have to change what you're eating, but just stop putting anything in your mouth unless your stomach is physically hungry, and then stop putting food in your mouth when your stomach is physically full. Now, the best practice for this strategy is you want to chew each bite of food 30 times to give your brain time to get the message that your stomach is no longer physically hungry. Okay? Now, the reason that this is the number 2 best way to lose weight is because you're not going to get fast weight loss results when you're still eating processed food. All right? Processed food has so much garbage in it. It's fake food. It has so many additives, ingredients, preservatives, excess sugars and sodium and all kinds of stuff. And all of that stuff really gunks up the gears of the body's system, the metabolism. The body is just not going to release fat as quickly as if you were to get off of the processed foods. However, this way that I'm sharing with you right now, it will work if you only eat when you're physically hungry. But if every time you are physically hungry, if the type of food that you're eating is highly processed food, then it's going to take a lot longer to see results because your body doesn't work very well on the fake food that is available everywhere today. That fake food that is highly addictive, it's highly processed, and that's just how it is. This is the physiological, the science part of the equation. Now, the science part of weight loss, it's only 7.2% of the equation. And that's usually where people are putting all of their focus is in the science. All right. Now, what I'm sharing with you here, maybe you've already heard this before. You might even be saying, well, that's common sense. But then there's a much, much bigger problem here in the room. That big white elephant, and the big white elephant is what is driving you to use food to try to solve all of your emotional problems, or maybe not emotional problems, but emotional upsets. Okay, anything that is upsetting to you in your day-to-day life, when you're using food to try to make it all better, when food is your best friend, when food is your comfort, when food is your main focus in your life because you're not happy with your life, you're not happy with your job, maybe your relationship is not going very well, or maybe the only thing you have going good in your life is your career and maybe your marriage, but outside of that, you're very, very unhappy because you can't stop eating. You can't stop putting food in your mouth, and you have all of the intelligent knowledge that you shouldn't be doing that, but clearly that doesn't matter, does it? And that right there is an insight for you to be aware of why you haven't been able to solve these problems on your own, because this problem of binge eating, emotional eating, using food for comfort, food addiction, food as your crutch, food as your life, food as your focus from the moment you wake up in the morning until the moment you go to bed at night. All right, dreaming about food, all of this obsession about food. The thing is that no amount of intelligent observation, analyzation, critical analysis, or information collecting makes any of this change. Have you ever noticed that? I mean, how much information do you already have? How many times have you made a New Year's resolution to lose weight? What happened? How many times have you told yourself that you were going to start again on Monday and you're really going to do it this time? And then how long did that last? How many times have you used the first day of the month as your new start? And by the time you got through 5 days or less, you were already kaput. All right. However, you have all of the information and the intelligent knowledge that you need, that you know so much about nutrition and exercise that you could teach a class on it. All right. So what is going on here? Well, there is much more to this issue that you cannot see. It's like, have you ever seen one of those posters of an iceberg? And the picture shows the little tip of the iceberg that you can see above the waterline, but underneath the waterline, there's this huge ass piece of ice that goes down deep for miles. And you can't see any of that when you're on top of the waterline. That's like this problem that you have. And what's below the waterline, you cannot even see any of that because those are your blind spot areas that you cannot be objective about. And one of the reasons is because you have been struggling with these food and weight issues for so many years. If you're like myself and all of my coaching clients, these problems always start when you're really young, either in childhood or in adolescence. And if you take your piece of paper and your pen right now, write your age down, your current age, and then go back in time to the age that you were when you first started having any kind of struggles with your eating, with your body image, with your self-esteem, with your identity, with worrying that you weren't good enough, that you weren't like the other kids, that kids didn't like you, or maybe somebody told you that you were fat, and you might not have even been overweight, but in your own mind, you thought you were. That's at least how my struggle started. I was only 7, and I remember it was a summertime, and it was really hot out, and I had on a pair of little red shorts, and I was a skinny little kid, but I sat down in the front seat of my parents' car, and I looked down at my thighs, and like any human being, when you sit down, your thighs will spread out. Doesn't matter what you weigh. And I thought to myself, I am fat. That's where all of my problems started. I was not even overweight, but that's where the whole struggle started. And eventually I did gain weight and did have fat on my body. And I understand what it's like to be out of control with food obsessions, food addiction, and food is your fun. and you can't stop binge eating, you can't stop emotional eating, but there is never going to be any food diet to cure these problems. And there is not enough information that you can collect because this problem is not about information and it's not about the food. And the quickest way out of this, honestly, is to get coaching with the right coach. Make sure that you get a coach who's brave enough to tell you the truth and is willing to share with you what they can see that you cannot see so that you can begin to move out from behind all of your stuck points, all of your blind spots, all of those brick walls that are in front of you that you cannot see because you are too close to the problem. And get this stuff healed. Release the binge eating, release the emotional eating, and get on with your life. Because the big problem here, another big problem, is I've shared with you the number 2 best way to lose weight, and that is to eat only when you're physically hungry. Stop eating when you're not hungry anymore, but not stuffed. Just, there's no physical hunger. Like right now, as I'm talking with you, I am not physically hungry. I'm not stuffed either. But there's no physical hunger going on here at this moment while I'm speaking with you. I am a human. I have a human body. Eventually, over time, I will, my stomach will empty out. It will be physically hungry, and that will be time, for me to eat some fuel. But the big problem here, another big problem, is that when you're binge eating, when you're emotional eating, when you're using food as your fun, when you set yourself up that food is your reward, if you were good, then you get to eat some kind of food, and food is your everything, then you're not eating for physical hunger anyway. Binge eaters never eat for physical hunger. Emotional eaters don't eat for physical hunger. Freedom seekers trying to get freedom through food and saying F you to the world, I'm going to eat whatever the hell I want. That's not about physical hunger. So does it make sense why you've never been able to solve this by picking up another food diet, telling yourself that you're just going to stick with it? Because when you don't have the skills to deal with what you've been trying to solve with food, then all you're doing is you're taking away your number 1 coping mechanism, which is the food and your thought patterns about food and your eating behaviors and your habits of using food to try to feel better. And when you take all that away to try to force yourself to do a food diet and you don't have the right mindset, you have not healed the root of the problem, you have not healed your inner self, you don't have the coping skills and the coping mechanisms to deal with the ups and downs in your day-to-day life, then does it make sense that that's why you've never been able to stick with the food diet? Because the food diet does not contain the solutions that are what you really need to break free of these ongoing struggles. Does this make sense a little bit? And this is why I do the work that I do with my awesome coaching clients in the Inner Self Diet, so that they stop chasing their own tail, looking for a solution that they'll never find in more information, in more books, in more DVDs, and more exercise programs, and more food diets, and more nutritional information. Okay? Because that chase, it never ends until you stop running and you stop avoiding the real problem and you get the right steps to heal the real problem, and then you can break free of these very self-destructive behaviors and actually lose weight, because that's what you want to do, right? And don't you want to lose weight and keep it off? You don't want to keep bumbling around losing weight and gaining it and losing and gaining, do you? I mean, in my experience, when I've gone through that before, that was worse than just staying overweight. Who wants to have a little bit of very short-term success and drop 25 pounds or 20 pounds or 10 pounds and then gain back 15? That's, in my experience, that's worse than just staying overweight, because all you're doing to yourself is the constant sabotage of up and down, up and down, up and down. But even that won't be solved with a food diet. Hey, if a food diet could solve these problems, you wouldn't have a problem, would you? I mean, you can get a healthy food plan at your public library for free. You can go there right now. All right, go check out the healthy lifestyle or diet and exercise category. Find that aisle in your public library. Ask the librarian if you don't know where it is. You can go check out a book for free at your public library that will tell you, hey, this is a great way to eat. Here's how to exercise and do this as a way of life. It's not a diet. It's a way of life. There's all kinds of information out there about that. But why aren't you doing it? Does that make sense? When you already know what you need to do, but you're not doing it, that right there shows you that you've got an inner self problem. You've got a mindset problem. That's why I'm a certified master NLP practitioner, certified professional master coach, certified consciousness shifting coach. I do all of this inner work with my clients because the problem is not the food. The problem is what's going on inside of you. Release that stuff. Heal that stuff. Break free of your own barriers because nobody else is stopping you from losing weight and keeping it off. It's all within you, which is a very good thing because that means that nobody else has to change in order for you to get what you want. It's time for a commercial break here on the JoLynn Braley Show. This week's sponsor of the JoLynn Braley Show is my free ebook. You can go right now. Speedy Gonzalez. Head on over to www.easyfunweightloss.com. All you have to do is enter your first name, enter your email address, and then we will send you an email back where you can download my free ebook. You can read it. You can actually take action with my 3 simple steps that I give you in that download to start making weight loss easier from the inside out right now. You can get that immediately at www.easyfunweightloss.com. All right, a couple questions to ask yourself. On each episode of the JoLynn Braley Show, I always recommend that you get pen and paper, that you write down each question that I give you, and then you write your answer down to each question, pen on paper. Why? Because there is a connection that occurs between the head, the hand, and the heart when you write pen on paper. You cannot get that connection if you type on a keyboard. You don't get any connection if all you do is listen to my voice. I totally agree with Mr. Tony Robbins, who says that you'll never learn by just listening. All right. So if you really want to get the most out of this totally free weight loss podcast, grab pen and paper, pause the podcast as you need more time. Hey, why not take advantage of it? It's totally free. Obviously, this is not like coaching because coaching requires two-way live communication. And, I don't know who you are. I have no idea what the root of your food and weight struggles is unless I'm actually working with you in the inner self diet. And if I am actually working with you in the inner self diet and you have any questions about anything I'm sharing here on this podcast or any of my other podcasts, just ask me. You know that if you're working with me, I am more than willing to help you in any way because I want you to succeed. I want you to break free of your binge eating, your emotional eating, your food and weight struggles, whatever they might be, the negative self-talk, the low self-confidence, the low self-esteem, the lack of belief in yourself that you can really do it, whatever it is, you know that I want you to fully succeed. So just tell me what the podcast number is that you might have a question about and tell me what your question is. This podcast right here, this is episode number 153. All right. And you've got my email address. Unless we are already in the forum, then just post in the forum and tell me what your question or questions are. Okay. We want to help you I want to help you get to your struggle-free place where it is no big deal for you to just live a healthy lifestyle day after day, meal after meal. I want to help you get to that place as quickly as possible. And as you know, most of my clients, they get there within 8 weeks, and some of them in less time than that. All right. All you have to do is just keep following the steps that I'm giving you. Keep following my instructions. If there's anything that you don't understand, all you have to do is ask me. So if you're already in the Inner Self Diet, you already know all of this, but I'm just giving you this extra reminder that, hey, any questions about my podcast, take advantage of, me working with you in the Inner Self Diet. Ask me if you hear me say something on this podcast or any other one, and I'm happy to answer for you. Okay, so first question. Remember, you're writing this question down for yourself, pen on paper, and then write your answer down. Pause the podcast as you need more time. Also, another reason that you really want to do this pen on paper is because it puts you in your present moment. You stop spinning, you stop the anxiety, you stop all the fear, you stop running from yourself, you get totally present with yourself, and you're never going to solve these problems by spinning and spinning and spinning and running and running and running and continuing to try to avoid what's going on inside of you and continuing to try to avoid what you cannot even see. That's even worse, because how can you fix something that you can't see? But that's why you get really smart and you get coaching, so that your coach can help you see those things that you can't see, and then you can break free, which is what you really want. First question, when exactly is the last time that I ate only for physical hunger? When exactly is the last time that I ate only for physical hunger? Number 2 question, when is the last time that I ate only for physical hunger and I stopped eating when my physical hunger was gone? And that means that I didn't keep going. I didn't stuff myself. I didn't overeat. All I did was, number 1, I ate only for physical hunger, but also I stopped eating when my physical hunger was satiated. So when exactly is the last time that I did that? And pause the podcast as you need time to write these questions down and write your answers down. Number 3 question, what would life be like for me if I really could break free of my ongoing frustrations, pain, struggles, fears, and out of control eating? This whole problem, the whole food and weight struggle. What would my life be like if I really could break free of this and just get normal with food? So write down everything. What would your life be like? What would you look like? What size jeans would you be wearing? How would your posture be? How proud would you feel of yourself? How good would you feel about yourself? What would your relationship with food be like? What would your work life be like? What about your level of confidence, your belief in yourself? What would your self-talk be like? What would your bank account look like? Because we all know, or maybe you don't know, and this is your first time hearing this, but the truth is that all of these things, all of these areas of your life are connected. Your self-esteem, your self-worth, your self-confidence, your self-talk, your identity, your eating behaviors, your body image, your body hate or your body shame or your body acceptance. All of these things intersect with how you show up at work. They all intersect and impact your bank account. They all intersect and impact your sex life, your romantic relationships, your relationships with your children, with your parents, with your community. All of this is connected because you can't be in your life without a body. Your body is your vehicle. And if you are ashamed of your vehicle and you're ashamed of yourself, and you are constantly worried about what other people are thinking of you because you've gained so much weight, and that's how you're showing up, there's no way that these things can be separated from your work life, from your bank account, from your relationships, because you take that body with you everywhere. You take it with you everywhere. So how would your life be impacted, all areas of your life, if you were to just heal this food and weight struggle once and for all? Get to the bottom of it, heal it, move on, live a healthy lifestyle. Okay? You can solve these food and weight struggles with the help of the right coach. You can do it pretty quickly and move on. And what will take the longest amount of time is just releasing the fat from the body, because you can't do that overnight. The body doesn't work like that. All right, number 4 question. What if I could be okay with the process of releasing the fat from my body? Which would mean that you would not be impatient. You would not be hating the process. Okay? You wouldn't be complaining about living healthy and fit. You would not feel deprived. You would not be looking at other people and saying, oh, they can eat what they want, but I can't. None of that stuff. So what I'm saying here is you're asking yourself, what if I could enjoy the journey to my ideal body, which would mean that it would be struggle-free. It would be no big deal, which would mean that you would be enjoying your life before you even get to your ideal weight. That's a real brain twister, isn't it? Because if you're like everybody else, you've set yourself up that, oh, I can't be happy until I get to my goal weight. Well, how is that working for you? How does that make the whole process fun and easy and simple? And so now we're back to what is 92.8% of the problem, which is mindset. And you've got to heal your inner self if you want to win at this challenge once and for all. If you are satisfied and happy and fulfilled with the pain, the struggle, the frustration, the yo-yo dieting, if you're happy with that, I would not even listen to one more second of my podcast, because I don't advocate anybody staying in pain and struggle and staying in body hate and body shame and self-hatred. I'm not here on the planet to help anybody stay in that. So if that's what you like and you prefer that, don't listen to my podcast anymore, because it's a waste of time. All right, so last question, is this number 5? Who is my coach? Who is my coach in my corner? Who is believing in me when I don't believe in myself? Who is helping me to see my best self and believe that I really, really, really can become it? Who is giving me the step-by-step proven system to make weight loss struggle-free? Who is helping me end my binge eating, end my emotional eating? Who is virtually through the phone lines holding my hand and helping me to trust myself and trust my body when I have not been trusting myself or my body for years and years and years and years? Who is helping me unravel my ongoing pain, frustration, and inability to succeed with this weight loss thing all on my own? Who is cheering me on and reminding me of how smart I am, that I stopped telling myself I could do it all alone, because clearly I couldn't do it all alone, because I tried that for 40 years and it didn't work. So who is your coach? That's the fastest path to your weight loss success if you want to stop binge eating, stop emotional eating, stop being obsessed with food, get to your goal weight, stay there, maintain that for the rest of your life, feel awesome about yourself, love the body that you're in, look great in your jeans without apology, and take care of this issue, once and for all. Now, one thing to point out here, and this is something that I share with all of my inner self diet coaching clients. So if you're one of my clients, you've already heard this, but I'll remind you again. The inner self diet doesn't make your life perfect, and it doesn't take away all of your problems. There's nothing that can do that for you. But what the inner self diet does is gives you all of the tools that you need so that when you do have any kind of problems in your life or in your day-to-day life, you can move through those without using food to try to feel better and without gaining weight. You know, that's the power. That's the beauty of the whole thing right there. You will never, ever, ever have a life that is perfect and problem-free. But when you can go through your life and go through your ups and downs with whatever kind of issues or challenges you might encounter, and you can go through those things without abusing yourself with food, without binge eating, without emotional eating, without using food to try to make it all better, then can you see how free you really are when you can do what I just said? You're not free when you're in your own prison of out-of-control eating. Clearly, you're not free there. That's where all the pain and the struggle and the shame and the fear of other people finding out. But, you know, if you keep hiding behind that fear and you won't reach out and you won't get the professional coaching you need, then just expect that it's not going to get better. Okay, because these things don't get better by avoiding them or by eating more food or by telling yourself that you'll do it later. It just keeps getting worse, unfortunately, because your brain even makes it easier to continue to struggle because that's what you're used to doing. You have to make the decision for yourself that you deserve better and that you deserve to make peace with yourself, with food, with your past failures to lose weight and keep it off. You have to decide that you are worth getting the tools and the training and the coaching to unravel and heal and release the root that keeps driving your out-of-control eating so that you can finally succeed struggle-free with this food and weight issue. So that you can be like one of my clients I coached many years ago, Barb, who dropped 50 pounds. And she said in her feedback that it was totally struggle-free. And the only way that you get to that place, though, is you've got to do the inner steps, the inner system, the inner self diet. Because the problems that you're having, it's not because of the food. I did say at the beginning of today's episode that I would share with you before we're done what your first step is if you really are serious about putting an end to your food and weight battles. If you want to stop wondering, why am I so smart and successful professionally? And I know exactly what I need to do to lose weight, but I'm not doing it. So clearly I'm not stupid, you know? I have all the information I need, and clearly, my business or career success shows that I'm really, really smart. But even with all of this success that I have never been successful long-term with my weight. I am not able to stop my out-of-control eating. I have never been successful doing this all on my own, no matter how many times a year, 52 times each year, I tell myself I'll start again on Monday and that I could do it all alone. Well, I'm wisening up. And I'm getting super brilliant for myself to reach out to get the help that I deserve so that I can begin on my path of struggle-free weight loss and building a life that I love in a body I love. If that's you, then your first step will be found over at www.discovery-session.com, www.discovery-session.com. Enter your first name and email address, and then on the next page, there'll be a big red button. And what'll happen is when you click on that big red button, it'll open up an application, and you need to complete that application for a complimentary one-on-one private weight loss discovery session with me over the phone. An application is required because these calls are at this time completely free, and there are only so many that I can fit into my schedule. So unfortunately, I am not able to just get on the phone with everybody who would love to talk to me. You do need to show how serious you are by completing that application. It's totally free to complete the application. And a tip I'll give you right now is make sure that you include full details for each question, because just because you submit an application doesn't mean that you will get a chance to get one of these free sessions with me. If your answers are all 1 or 2 words, we're not going to be able to set up a call for you. So show your sincerity, show how much you believe in yourself and your level of self-worth that you believe that you deserve to break free of these ongoing food and weight battles. You really, really can achieve struggle-free weight loss if you go about it from the inside out. And that's why I do the coaching that I do with my awesome coaching clients. I've been doing this since 2009. Every client that has just simply listened to my instructions, followed the instructions, and done the steps, kept things simple, it's always worked for them. But you can't just listen to me talk about it, like talk about it on this podcast. And this is not the Inner Self Diet. You actually have to do the steps. So again, your first step will be found at www.discovery-session.com. I'm JoLynn Braley, permanent weight loss coach, founder of the Inner Self Diet, the diet that actually works because it's not actually a diet. And I wish you your best life living inside of your ideal body. Yay!